Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I just wanted to talk about transitioning and how I transitioned from relaxed to natural and some tips that I recommend on how to do it, or at least how I did it. So starting with relaxer, my hair's been relaxed since I was probably about 8 or 9, so quite young. In primary school we used to go swimming every week. My hair was natural, but my mum used to have it hot comb probably like every 2 weeks. Swimming caps just didn't work. So I'd go swimming and I'd put the swimming cap on, but I'd come out and like half my hair would be like curly and like shrunk up, and then the other half would still be straight, and my mum would like be fuming. And to be honest, sometimes I just didn't like wearing them, so I just wouldn't wear a swimming hat.
What the hell happened to your hair?
Eventually all the chlorine in the water like made my hair really dry, so it was literally just so brittle and like disgusting, but my mum didn't really know what to do with it to get it back to its like original state. And at that time my sisters were already relaxed and my mum was relaxed, so I was the only one with natural hair at that point. So I ended up relaxing it, but I wanted to relax it anyway. I don't know why, I just thought it was cool when I was younger.
Unacceptable!
And in secondary school, like I looked after it enough for the first couple of years, like it just kind of just stayed long. But then something happened in between like year 9 and 10 where like my hair was just ridiculous. It was so short, it was so broken off, and everyone kept asking like if I'd cut my hair, because I was kind of known to have decently long hair. But yes, that was a disaster. I think I just stopped looking after it as well as I was. So I'd leave it longer times in between relaxers, but in leaving it longer times between relaxers I started to see my natural curls, because I didn't know what they looked like. I didn't remember from 8 or 9 years old. So when I let it grow out and I seen that I had a little bit like of a wave going on, I really just wanted to see what my natural hair was like. So my last relaxer was in April 2013, I believe. And I pretty much knew that was going to be my last relaxer. The only reason I got it was because I had a party to go to and I didn't know how to deal with my hair at that point. So I was like, this is going to be my last relaxer, and it was. So after that I just started growing my hair out. I didn't relax it again. Even when it was relaxed I used to do braid outs and stuff, because I always liked big voluminous hair. So I just carried on doing that, which wasn't new for me. Twist outs didn't really work because they couldn't hold like the shape, so it would just end up being like a really dead wave. I did a lot of flexi rod sets as well to like blend the relaxed hair with the natural hair. It got to a point where the natural hair was just so thick and dense and the straight hair was like just like straggly and thin, and at that point where it met, it would just like tangle so badly. So I tried to do as much styles as I could to keep it stretched and like prevent it from like kind of just shrinking up and tangling itself, because detangling was just the worst thing in the world. So if you're thinking about transitioning, that is the one thing you need to learn from early, because to be honest it doesn't even get better with your natural hair. So these were my best friend. I did braid outs as well, but because braid outs don't really take like a curl, it's more just like a wave and it's not really defined. So this was the only way I could really get curls without using heat, because that's one thing I didn't want to do. I didn't want to keep straightening my hair because I was conscious that when I came to cut it I didn't want to have heat damage and not be able to differentiate between how long my natural hair had grown to, because it would have been straightened by heat damage, if that makes any sense. These are so... I apologise in advance, but in fact let me close my window. The most common way to put them in is to just like wrap it around and like just roll it up. But the type of curl that that gives you isn't what I wanted, because my hair was getting shorter, because as I was allowing it to grow out I was cutting like an inch at a time. So because of that it got to a point where my hair was like shorter than what I was used to, so I wanted to keep it as long as possible. So instead of doing that method I used to try and get more of like a spirally curl so that it would be more elongated. So what I did was, I hope you can see, but I basically wrapped it around the bottom, and then instead of doing the twist up I used to wrap this around, how do I explain? I used to wrap my hair, I don't know how to explain it, but I just did this. If you can see it, you can see it, I don't know. I used to wrap my hair like this and try and like leave gaps in between, so that once I took it out the curls wouldn't just like spring back on each other and be like really short, it would be more elongated. If you want me to go more in depth about that then just leave a comment, but right now I just can't get the words out. But yeah, that was my go-to style, like I would do that all the time. The downside to that would be sleeping in them, because again I didn't want to use heat, so
I didn't get no sleep because of y'all!
Yeah, it's very uncomfortable. There's actually no way around it, it's so uncomfortable, but the results were worth it. I think I've also got a video of me cutting my hair, which I'll insert. I'm not sure if you can see anything on there. I tried to like scan through and it's really dark. The camera angle pretty much just cuts out the point of where I'm actually going to cut the hair, so I don't know if there's any clips of me actually cutting the hair, but I tried to video it. But yeah, so if any of that is useful, I'll put that in the video as well. Eventually, anyway, I grew out my hair for, I'm going to say like 18 months or something like that. At that point, I tried not to use heat as much as possible, but I was doing beauty pageants, so it was quite difficult. Luckily, I don't think I got much heat damage, if any at all. So cutting it wasn't that hard, especially because my curls are quite tight. So what I did was I sectioned off my hair and then I went through and like sprayed the hair with water. And then once you spray it with water, your natural hair kind of curls up so you can see your hair in comparison to the relaxed hair, and then you just like clip where that stops. So yeah, after I cut my hair, it's probably like the shortest I consciously remember my hair being. So I was a little bit uncomfortable. Like I remember I was meant to go to cinema that exact day, but I didn't really take into account what my hair would look like once it had dried. It obviously shrinks up a lot, and it was so short, and like it didn't even touch my shoulders, which I wasn't used to, so I was majorly uncomfortable. But I like the way my curls look, but I just didn't know what to do with it. I didn't know how to make it look nice. It wasn't an identity I was used to. Like, it didn't take long to get used to. It was just more getting comfortable with not caring people's opinions. But even if I did care about people's opinions, it genuinely wasn't bad anyway. Like, people didn't have bad things to say about it. It was just kind of like, I was just worried that would happen. So the most common way I wore my hair was in a pie puff, which is what it's known as in the natural hair community. But basically a bobble. Because it was short, I wouldn't pull it all the way back like how this is in a bobble here. I used to use a headband, and I put the headband on like a really big headband. One of those stretchy elastic ones. So it's almost like a hair tie, but just a big one. So I'd wet all my hair, put whatever gel I needed to, and brush it in the direction of a bobble. So like I'd brush it all back. I just can't explain what I'm talking about. But you pull it so that your hair isn't tight in a bubble. So rather than your hair being in like a bubble like this big, the bubble is actually this wide, so it makes your hair look bigger and longer than it actually is. And that's how I wore my hair for ages, because my hair could fit in a bubble, but it would just look really small. So now I mostly do twist outs, braid outs occasionally. This is a braid out now, but I prefer twist outs because they're a little bit more defined. But for volume, braid outs are good. But I also just wear wash and goes. Some people are opposed to wash and goes because it causes like single strand knots and split ends and things, but I don't mind. So yeah, my top tips would be for transitioners is firstly learn to detangle, because that's going to be like major in firstly just dealing with the whole process, but secondly helping your hair grow once you cut it off. Because if you're rough with your detangling, your hair just won't grow. Like, it will grow, but you won't be able to retain length, so lengthwise it won't get longer. The key to detangling is combing from ends to roots, so starting from the bottom and then moving your way up as you go up the hair. It will kind of limit the amount of damage that you have. Get a wide tooth comb and a Denman brush. The wide tooth comb is more important, I would say, because you just can't use a small comb, it's just not going to work. Second tip is get familiar with deep conditioning. Some people deep condition weekly, which is like generally what you'll hear people recommend, but that doesn't work for everybody. For me, I do deep condition weekly, or mostly weekly, but again, it's kind of what is better for your hair type, so you have to experiment. But deep conditioning in general I think is essential. Normal conditioner is cool, that should be used, but deep conditioning is like a godsend. So if you can get used to it while you're transitioning, when you go natural it won't be like this huge change. Third tip would just be get familiar with the hairstyles that work best for you. So some people wear extensions while they're transitioning. For me, I've just never wore extensions. I did try it once and I just wasn't used to how it looked, so I didn't like it. I didn't really do it much. So yeah, so hairstyles for you might be wearing extensions, it might be wearing a wig, it might be doing flexi rods, it might be doing braid outs, but just get familiar with it, because essentially those kind of hairstyles aren't going to go away. You're probably still going to do them, so utilise them as much as possible if it helps you kind of deal with the two textures. One thing I should mention though is you don't necessarily have to transition in terms of let your hair grow out and then cut it little by little. You can just do a big chop. So my memory got full. I think that's the sign that I'm waffling. My last and final tip would just be like, enjoy it and just do what you want. At the end of the day, there's no rules. Like, learn your own techniques, learn the things that work for you, and just embrace your hair. Have fun with it. It's not meant to be a chore, it's meant to be fun, it's meant to be, you know, it's not meant to be a burden. So yeah, I hope this was somewhat useful to somebody somewhere. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.